Executive Director of the Chamber. When the red sign comes up, please conclude or I will have to rudely interrupt you, and I don't want to have to do that. 10 seconds is what the yellow sign says. And now in deference to the incumbent, we'll let Byron Malott, the nonpartisan candidate, give his opening remarks.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Pardon my voice, I've been on airplanes a lot, and the issue of pressure is somehow bothering me a bit. Governor Walker and I have served these past 4 years. The governor's administration inherited a $4 billion budget deficit. You here in the Kenai know the reason for that better than any other area of the state. The vagaries of oil have always been with us. During these 4 years, the governor has been able to work with the Alaska legislature, including Senator Meyer, to get the budget deficit reduced by some 70% to allow earnings of the Alaska Permanent, or revenue from the Alaska Permanent Fund to meet 70% of our deficit. The task going forward is to grow Alaska to solve all of the budget deficit.
Thank you very much. And Lieutenant Governor, if you'd pass the microphone there to Kevin Meyer, we will ask Kevin to give us his opening statement.
All right, thank you, and thank you, Kenai Chamber, for putting on this forum. I think this is the first time we've actually had all the candidates, the independent, Democrat, and Republican candidates. So thank you for doing this. It's always fun to come down here. I think this is my 4th or 5th time I've been down here in the last month or two. There's a lot of things happening down in Kenai. Anyway, for you that don't know me, my name is Kevin Meyer, and I've lived in Alaska now almost 40 years. It was actually an oil company that brought me up here, and I am still with that oil company, Phillips Petroleum. Unfortunately, we don't have our LNG plant here anymore, but we still have a lot of activity up on the slope. So, and during this 40 years being and working in the private sector, I've also ran for office, and I've held a public elected office for 26 years, 8 years on the Anchorage Assembly, 8 years in the State House, and 10 years in the Senate, which I'm currently in the Senate now. So I think with the private sector experience as well as the elected public sector experience makes me a good candidate, the best candidate for Lieutenant Governor to oversee our election process and regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. If you hand the mic to Stephen Wright, who's also on the Republican ballot. Stephen, your opening statement, please.
Yeah, thank you again for inviting me. I'm Stephen Wright, and a little bit about me. I was born on Elmendorf Air Force Base in the 1960s when my dad was serving in Vietnam. So he spent a lot of time traveling around the state working on weather radar. But I also served in the military for 22 years. And I've had an opportunity to work on budgets and to do a lot with an accounting degree that I earned while I was enlisted. So I spent 22 years in the military as an enlisted member. And I also had another opportunity to run for office a couple years ago. And I learned a lot because it was also a statewide campaign. And I think that it's something that I feel strongly about, that we need to have folks in office who are willing, who have integrity and are willing to do the right thing for the people of Alaska to provide the maximum benefit for the people of the state. Thank you.
Thank you. And if we can pass the microphone all the way down here now, we'll have Deborah Call, the Democrat, ask her opening remarks. Please, Deborah.
Good afternoon, and thank you to the Kenai Chamber of Commerce for hosting this. It's a pleasure to be here, and even though it was a rocky trip coming down with the construction, we made it, so that's awesome. My name is Deborah Call, and I was born in Palmer, lived all my life in Alaska, went outside to school, got my MBA, came back to Alaska, and worked in rural economic development. In fact, that's where I met Byron, at an organization called CEDC, Community Enterprise Development Corporation. Spent a lot of time in different villages, doing fish hatcheries, fur tanneries, small businesses, stores. So I understand the importance of small business throughout Alaska. And that's my passion. I've been in workforce development in the oil and gas industry for many of the owner companies here, as well as worked at Alyeska Pipeline. My commitment is to Alaska, and I look forward to talking with you more about it and give you my views on the questions that will be coming forward. Thank you.
And that would bring us over to Edie Grunwald. Your 60-second statement, please.
I'm Colonel Edie Grunwald, retired. I've spent the last 31 years serving our great state and nation, and I vow to spend the next 4 representing the people of Alaska, listening to you. And I got pulled into this through the justice system, the corrections system, and I want to make a difference. I originally came up to Alaska in 1985. My first choice assignment was Eielson Air Force Base, and I found a way to stay here. They opened up an Air National Guard unit with the 135 unit, and I got on, got my commission. I was prior enlisted, 6.5 years, and I've been a director, a commander, I'm a leader. I've managed big businesses within the business, because as you know, in the military, there's businesses within the business. And so I've got the acumen, 2 master's degrees, one in military strategy, national strategy, and the other one in business. And I'm here to listen to the people and make a difference. Edie Grunwald, August 21st. Thanks.
Thank you very much, candidates. And now we'll move into the question and answers, and I will try to give each one of you the lead-in and change it up as we go. If I get confused, that's because I'm over 70 years old. But we will start with our first question, and it will be to Deborah Call. Deborah, what applicable experience do you bring to the job of Lieutenant Governor?
I have years of executive experience in terms of working with certainly small businesses. I was the former director of Small Business Initiative at Washington State University after I got my MBA. Also worked in rural Alaska, as I've mentioned to you in my introduction. Worked with a variety of businesses throughout Alaska. And small business is the core of the national economy anyway. And to be able to do the core boots on the ground initiatives and fur tanneries, fish hatcheries, stores, that is the core of what Alaska is all about in terms of employment. My husband is also a veterinarian. We helped him establish his business in South Anchorage. He also did remote services out to Dutch Harbor. So every 6 weeks he was treating animals, particularly small animals, in rural Alaska as well. So most recently I was working with a nonprofit. We again had a business with it. Have a gift shop at the Alaska Native Heritage Center, and always managing inventory and getting the marketing out to the visitors. So business is the core of what I've done. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll make it easy. We'll go right over to Edie Grunewald. And Edie, what applicable experience do you bring to the job of Lieutenant Governor?
Well, I bring tons of administrative experience and leadership experience from my positions in the military. I've managed and supervised national level programs, state level programs, and helped bring on some new mission sets with the Alaska Air National Guard and National Guard. And I have, like I said, my education. I've managed supply, logistics, war plans, aircraft maintenance. I'm a prior machinist, and I love the trades, so I bring some business acumen, experience, leadership, and motivation. And I have an open ear. And I just want to, get in there, manage regulations and written regulations, so I know what to look for. And thank you.
Thank you. And Sharon Jackson, what is your experience with the job?
My experience with the job, is working and listening with working people. So if you have not been through rough times, it's hard to be able to overcome these times. And I've done that in many aspects. I raised my son primarily by myself, and as we know, the statistics were not in our favor. Kept him off the streets, out of jail, off drugs, and today he is a business owner of 15 years. So I would be vulnerable to the people. So you get to tell me what to do. You get to tell me how to represent you versus I know everything, so I know how to do this for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Byron Millett, any experience for this job?
Having held the job for close to 4 years, but in addition, I've lived my entire life including my entire work life in Alaska. Was an 8-year trustee and 5-year CEO of the Alaska Permanent Fund Corporation, CEO of an Alaska Native Corporation. Have been involved with many of the issues that are hugely important going forward. It was Governor Hammond who appointed me as chair of his reapportionment board when he was governor. In addition, I've spent many years in the private sector, including 33 years as a board member of Alaska Air Group and served on the board of a number of banks. The Alaska Air Group thing, it was like they appointed me and then forgot about me, but it was an incredible run.
Okay, thank you very much. And Kevin, the same thing about experience to the job of Lieutenant Governor.
Great, thank you very much. And yeah, I think my previous experience has made me perfect for the job of Lieutenant Governor. The job of the Lieutenant Governor is to work with the governor in trying to sell his or her, I guess it'd be his in this case, his ideas, his policy to the legislature. And they have the legislature then approve what the governor is trying to do in his vision. And so, as I mentioned, having 18 years in the legislature, I know the pressures, demands, and concerns that the legislators have, and I think I can help the governor sell his or her ideas to the House and to the Senate, and maybe we can avoid some of the special sessions that we had. And then also too, you know, frankly, heaven forbid, the lieutenant governor needs to be able to step in for the